Hey, what's up guys? Inside this video here, I'm going to be going over the Convert Framework script, the exact sales script that I use to go from closing at 20 to 25% at a $2,400 price point for 6 months to closing at 63% for a $4,800 offer at 6 months. And the deliverables did not change. Same offer. All I did was 2x the price and get 3 times better at sales. Currently, I'm not selling anything. Does not mean that I will not sell something in the near future here. Just want to be a fair warning. These videos are for you guys just to share the lessons that I've learned from running my fitness company for the past couple years. Also running a B2B biz coaching offer for online fitness coaches who want to start or scale their companies, and some lessons that I've learned from managing sales teams, whether they be my own or helping clients when it comes down to getting setters or closers themselves. Now, these videos are primarily going to be best fit for fitness business owners who are above 30K per month, who overall are taking 10, 20 calls a week and want to go from closing at a 20 to 30% close rate to 40 to 60%. So if you're looking to double or triple your business and you think sales is the main bottleneck, these videos are probably going to be super beneficial for you. If you also want to get more in-depth information about what the process looks like, how I could possibly help you, feel free to join the free Skool group at the link below. There's already 1,100 people in here, a lot of people who want to learn sales and get better. Do you want to be part of them? Right? Probably. All right, so let's dive into the script. Let's cut the extra stuff here. So going into the Convert framework, I have a video on my page which is going over each of the sections and the main outcomes that you're looking for. Inside this video here, we're going to be talking about the exact questions that I currently have on the script. Now, fair warning for everyone. The most important thing when it comes down to a sales script is not necessarily the script, it's more so the process. So if you haven't watched the process video, go back, you'll see it as a video posted before this one. Just feel free to watch it. Now, in terms of the script itself, in the words, I do think they are very important if you are somebody who has never sold in the style, because if you're trying to change questions that you don't even know why you're changing them, that's just a problem waiting to happen. So if you're a beginner, right, you're at 30K a month, you're closing at 20, 30%, we can change your whole sales process and it doesn't really matter. You'll probably instantly close higher, right? Now, if you're closing at 40% or higher, we may want to adjust some of these questions and some of the process to be a little bit different. Maybe we add one section at a time as opposed to just throwing you into a completely new script. Because if something's working and you're profitable and you're making a ton of money, I don't want to change everything overnight because that's just a waste of time. I do personally believe this script is better overall and gets the outcomes that you want every single time in a very predictable process. Okay. So diving into everything here, in the connection phase, all we're looking to do is not build a rapport, but jump straight into results-based thinking and get the prospect straight into the conversation. So what I typically do is start with the outcome. So whatever their goal is, whether you're selling an offer that's about, getting a six-pack, dropping body fat, losing weight, healing their gut health, balancing their hormones, fixing pain, whatever your key mechanism is, you want to have it here. And you also want to have context before the call, whether that be through a VSL type form application, whether it be through a DM conversation, or whatever possible, or calling them outbound. You want to know a little bit about what their goal is so you can ask it in the middle bit right here in the immediate part of the script so you can drive straight into it. So I typically say, cool, so it looks like you want to lose 30 pounds. Is that right? Yes. And then you can ask a question like this if the prospect is booked through DMs, which is typically what most fitness coaches do. What made you want to engage with me on Instagram and book this call today? Oh, I saw your page, I saw your content, blah, 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 blah. Again, all you're doing is just getting more context as to why they're there, which reinforces them that they need help, right? If somebody comes onto a call and they're like, what do you do? How does it work? Blah, 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 blah. You booked on my calendar. I didn't book on your calendar, right? You just want to have frame in these scenarios. Did you watch video testimonials? Yes, no. That can be indicative for some people. If you have a very in-depth process, you might want to reschedule if they didn't watch your videos. You might want them to watch some testimonials. But if you do a good job during the process, process stuff, like the actual process of your program, like, oh, you got to track your calories, or you got to use MyFitnessPal, or you got to go to the gym 3 times a week. Like that stuff, they don't really care about anyways. So as long as they have an understanding of they need help and they have a problem, you're good to go. Now, this is debatable for beginners. You can probably pre-frame. If you're advanced, jump straight into it. That's what I do now. I used to pre-frame for the longest time because it's predictable, it's a process, you get them into the right thought process, whatever. But I think if you're a little bit more advanced, you can just jump straight into the script. So in the observe section, all we're looking to do is get current situation. It's pretty common. So we're just looking to get what's their age, current body weight, goal weight, how long has it been since they were the goal weight, if ever at all, and why do they feel like they've struggled. Now, this question here is the most important, really, because we need to understand the deeper reason why they struggled. Not the surface level stuff where it's like, oh, I was lazy, or oh, I didn't really know what to do, or I don't know, my food, or workouts, I don't have time. Like those are all excuses. They're not reasons why they couldn't do it, right? Whenever I'm talking to somebody, it's like, well, we can do anything. It's if we're willing to do it. So there's a difference between like, oh, I just am really bad with food. Well, you could change that. Why didn't you change that? You just ask the obvious questions in these scenarios, and you can typically go 1 to 2 to 3 levels deeper with them to find the root cause. So if somebody were to say, oh, I'm really bad with food. Okay, and why do you feel like that is? Like what typically causes that? Oh, well, I get really stressed at work and then I start eating. Okay, and like how long have you kind of been in that cycle of like stress eating, emotional eating? Oh, for the past couple years. Okay, and what have you tried to fix it? Right? And then I go straight into problem phase because now I have enough of a depth of a problem to start extracting it deeper. Name just means name the problem. Basically, we go into problem phase here. We're overall looking to understand what have they tried to fix it. Okay. If somebody's like, oh, I haven't tried anything at all, right? You just get some, yeah, no, you get it. It's fitness. There's going to be a lot of those people sometimes. For those people, you just have to continue to ask why, right? Why haven't you done anything? What's prevented you, right? But you won't actually have to fight as many objections if somebody were to be like, oh, I could just do keto, or oh, I could just go back to what I was doing before. So there are positives to people who have done nothing at all because ultimately in their mind, they know they don't know what to do. They need help. So very easy to people to help. It may seem difficult on the call because you're trying to grasp for information that's not there. But in actuality, all you have to do is shift it to, okay, you haven't done anything because you don't know what to do. Yeah, there's your answer, right? So whatever it may be in this section, we're just looking to understand what they've tried, what worked best, how much results did they see from it, and are they still doing it now? Now, this is probably one of the most important questions on the script because you're going to prevent so many objections from people who are basically saying, oh, I could just go back to keto, or oh, I could try that workout plan again, or oh, I could do Noom, or oh, I could do Weight Watchers, right? That little thought in the back of their mind that they could do what was cheaper as opposed to your $5,000 program is going to carry with them unless you ask these questions very specifically, okay? So you want to understand why they're not doing it. Ultimately, it's going to be something along the lines of unsustainable, I didn't like it, I didn't see as quick a results with it. Whatever it may be, you just need a clear answer here because it is going to lay up the next sections, okay? You're going to ask why they're not doing it, right? They may already give you that answer. But this is kind of the layup. This is kind of the knockout punch to eliminate that solution, okay? So let's say somebody says, okay, what's the most successful thing you've done? I did keto. I loved it. I lost 30 pounds. Wow, 30 pounds, okay. And are you still doing it now? Oh, no, I'm not doing it now. Why not, if you don't mind me asking? Well, I hated keto. It sucks. It's super unsustainable. I love carbs. Do you see how quick someone can shift from, oh, this was so good and I lost so much weight, to one question later, just asking them why they're not doing it now? All of a sudden, they're naming all the bad things about it and why they could never stick with it, even though it worked. That's the most important thing during the problem phase is even if something worked, you need to get them to understand they're not doing it now. They're not seeing results. They are stuck for a reason. Now, the biggest reason why I have these questions laid out in this way is if you talk to somebody and they're like, oh yeah, I saw so much results with keto. And you just immediately ask them, why aren't you doing it now then? Do you see how condescending that can be and how much friction and pushback you're going to get? It's going to cause problems. So by asking it in these questions in this framework, it softens the blow a bit. And they're way more open to just telling you the straight up reason, like, oh yeah, I couldn't stick to it. Oh, cool. So like it's something you didn't want to do for the rest of your life. Oh no, I could never do it for the rest of my life, right? So even the most successful things that they love doing, they will tell you on the call that they cannot stick to it and that they hate doing it. Very, very simple. Now, if there's multiple things here, you could ask, oh, and what about Weight Watchers? Was that the same or what happened there, right? You're just trying to get the main one out of the way, right? If they give you a list up here of different, things that they've done that were all successful, you may have to handle each one by one. right? So it's not just like, oh, it was just Weight Watchers that worked really well. It was like keto worked, Weight Watchers worked, right? Then you can also get into different types of fear. They may have like, oh, well, what if I can't be successful? I've tried and failed so many different times. Nothing works for me. There's a lot of things that can come up in this phase, and I'll have different videos in the future here going over each specific type of fear and how to handle different things. But for right now, let's just focus on the main thing, which is ultimately just getting them to understand their solutions did not work. They won't work. They can't do it on their own. They need help. Final thing to round out here is really just asking a question about why they might get help. Okay. And the way that I have it phrased here is really just trying to be as skeptical as possible because you want them to sell it back to you why they need to work with you. Right. So help me to understand why you might look at getting help as opposed to doing it by yourself. Really, really simple thing to ask. Ultimately, the outcome you're looking for this is I cannot do it on my own. I need help. I don't know what to do with nutrition. I don't know what to do with workouts or whatever the problem is that you found here. You want them to relay it here. Now, if they give you an answer like, oh, I could probably figure it out on my own, you did a really bad job in this section and you're going to have to recover it. You cannot move on. You cannot just move on once they give you an answer like that. A bad answer, you need to stay here until they understand that the problem is a problem and they are not seeing results and they need help, right? You need to make sure you get a problem here. If you do not get a clear problem, they're going to move on and you're just going to be screwed at the end of the call because they're just going to be like, oh, I need to think about it and I can probably do it on my own, right? They're just not going to see value in your program. The other piece of the problem phase is really getting them to understand that you're a trusted advisor on the call and you're an authority. You're asking them questions that probably nobody has ever asked them. And the only people who would ask them is their friends and family. Okay. Now, why we want to do that is because when we ask questions like their friends or their family would, it builds the trust and authority with us way more than asking about the weather or building rapport. So if you're in the process and let's say you're talking to a friend, about your weight loss, and you're saying something along the lines of, Ethan, I lost 30 pounds doing keto. It was the best thing in the world, but I stopped it. What is the thing you say to your friend there? Why the fuck did you stop doing keto? Right? Like, it just worked for you. Why are you not doing it? Oh, well, it's unsustainable. Or it doesn't really work, blah, 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 blah. And you'll have a conversation about it. But as a friend, you're going to challenge them and you're going to ask them questions when things literally just don't make sense. A lot of salespeople, though, will take their answer and just run with it, which is so stupid, especially when you have the opportunity to build so much more trust and authority with them because you're not going to handle their bullshit. You're not going to handle bad answers. You're going to get to the root of the problem. And when you get to the root of the problem, you probably know them better than they know themselves. And you're asking them questions that they've never been asked in their entire life. And they're understanding things they never understood before. And what does that cause them to do? Believe that you can help them and buy your program. Trust me, after taking, if not thousands of calls, that's the key thing, right? Once they understand they have a problem, you understand their problem, your solution is pretty much negligent. Like it could be the most basic thing in the world, and they will believe that it will fix their problem because you understand what the problem is, especially in fitness. I'm talking fitness specific, but we get good answers here. If you need to, you can ask another question. Like if they're like, oh, I feel like I just need accountability. Okay, besides accountability, right? If we mapped everything out for you, what do you feel like you'd really need help with? Oh, nutrition, workouts, etc. You may ask like, why do you feel like those places? You can go a little bit deeper if you need to, but typically in my case, as long as somebody says, I don't know what I'm doing, I'm good to go. Now, this piece is verify. So it's convert, right? We're at verify now. Really what we want to do in this section is get to the reasonings why they haven't done something. So you can be a little bit more challenging in this section. And we really want to understand how long has it been since they actively tried to lose weight. So if somebody up here was like, oh, I haven't tried anything. How much have you lost? No, I haven't really done anything, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so you need help. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so how long has it been since you actively tried to lose weight, right? I would ask it here as opposed to before because I think there's different purposes for different sections. Earlier on in the call, I'm very curious. I'm asking questions. I'm getting information. I'm getting data so I can build out that gap in that problem. In this section here, I'm going to start challenging as to why they haven't done this or fixed it. Did they not understand it? Blah, 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 blah. Did they not know what the problem is? Everyone knows they have a problem, but maybe not the deeper level reasons why, or whatever it may be, right? So during this section, I'm going to understand when was the last time they tried to lose weight, if it's been like over 6 months or a year. And then the second option that you can also ask is, have you ever gotten help before, right? So if someone has a very specific problem, or they say they need accountability here, like, oh, I really need help with accountability, or they have a GI issue, for me, hormonal issue, right? Oh, I've got menopause symptoms, hormonal issues. That's why I can't lose weight. I have these problems, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to ask them, have they ever gotten help with that? And if they say no, then I'm going to ask them either what's been holding them back from trying before this, or what's been holding them back from getting help before this. Or the flip side is you can also ask them, what made it more important for you now to get help then, right? So there's two ways you can phrase the question. I like both. I'll use both in different scenarios, but I typically just have this question on here because it's easier to follow. Ultimately, we just want to get a reason why. Typically, you'll sniff out a lot of money objections here. If you ask them the coach one especially. Now, some prospects, if you already know in the back of their mind money is a concern, like you knew pre-call in the DMs over a outbound dial in their application, money is an issue, you may not want to ask the coach one because you already know they have a money objection. You don't want to really bring up any issues with money early on in the call because you're going to handle it later. You don't want to bring up any unnecessary fear, any talks about why haven't you got a coach or money, blah, 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 blah. It can kind of shoot you in the foot a little bit. So typically I try to only ask like what's held them back from trying, stuff like that. Why is it important now? If it's a money type of person, like they have issues with money. If it's otherwise, then I'll ask them about coach, right? But ultimately, you're going to sniff out any money objections here if you need to. And if they're like, what's been holding you back? Oh, money, getting a coach is expensive. Sure, no worries. They can say all that. I'm not going to handle a money objection here. I'm not personally going to be like, oh, coaching's actually very cheap and you can use financing and you can break it up into payment plans. Like, doesn't matter. I'm going to go more after intention of why they haven't versus why they have financially not done it, right? Now, there is kind of like a ninja question you can ask here. If somebody said, oh, I've been really busy, I've had a lot going on this quarter, it's been super stressful, you can ask, are they sure now is the time to do something about this? Like, have they definitely made that decision for them? I can't help them if they haven't made that decision. Is now the time to do something? If they answer yes, then that really well sets up your why now question, right? Because then you can be like, okay, but why now though, right? Why not keep pushing this down the road like most women do who never lose the weight? So ultimately that sets you up really, really well for that question. If somebody's kind of been already pushing off or been busy or had stuff come up or didn't have time in the past to do it, that's a really good way to do it. This the why now question, I should say, not cost of an action. The why now question can be phrased in different ways as well. You can also ask questions such as like, okay, and what's shifted for you recently that made you feel like you want to put more emphasis on this so you can actually solve this problem? Like, it's not super important, but like this way works pretty well for me personally. Next phase here is evoke. We want to get into emotion, okay? So we want to get to the deeper rooted reasons. If they tell you in the why now question, like, oh, I just want to get healthier, I just want to get fitter, obviously, that's not a good answer. So we're going to go a level deeper. What's the reason behind wanting to lose that weight as opposed to just getting healthier, getting fitter? Now, if somebody says, oh, I don't want to get diabetes, I don't want to go, pant size up, I really hate the way that I look, don't ask this fucking question. Like, it's that simple. Like, if you get a good answer, if you've been in sales for a while, you know what a good answer is. If you get a good answer, move on. If you don't get a good answer, ask a question about it. Simple stuff during the script process. Now, if they give you a good answer, oh, I don't want to get diabetes, I hate having extra 30 pounds on me, blah, 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 blah. We want to first get their current situation, their current pain, and then talk about future stuff. And I'm going to add like an extra mini nugget on this section here. You can sell in two different ways, okay? You can either sell them on their current pain or you can sell them on the future pain. And you'll have to sniff out the prospect and where they're at to understand that. The only way you're gonna be able to sniff that out is by doing a really good job in this section and even understanding it earlier in the call too in like the problem phase. So if someone's saying like, I want to lose 30 pounds, but the reason why I want to lose 30 pounds is so I don't get diabetes and I don't end up like my parents, I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on not getting diabetes and ending up like their parents. I'm not so much going to focus on the number or the 30 pounds. It's going to be there, but I'm more so focused on, the future problems that they could be dealing with or the main thing they're trying to avoid. Okay. You can also, again, sell on the current pain. So if they're not like super, thought driven in the future or their family hasn't had medical issues or they haven't had any issues in the past really, and they're mainly just focused on fitting their clothes, then I'm going to focus on that. right? But you have to sniff out what their reasons are and don't put words in their mouth, okay? Make sure you just focus on whatever is the most important part of the conversation. So if someone says, currently, I can't play with my kids and I'm not able to keep up with them as much, focus on current. If someone says, I've gained 30 pounds and I'm worried about not being able to play with my kids, focus on the future, right? It's super simple once you're in the conversation. Just let them lead you a little bit into where they need to go. Obviously, you're leading them with the questions, but their direction into current or future is the direction that you will follow. Okay. So I'm still going to get current pain either way. How is it affecting them? And then you're asking them how it is affecting them in what way. And then ultimately you're going to ask them a question like this. So the power behind this question is we want to downplay the problem so they upplay the problem. So I'm going to ask them a question. It doesn't just have to be weight. This can be, interchangeable. Let's just put this here. Because it's technically whatever their outcome is. So how often do you think about your back pain? Is it every month? Is it every couple weeks? It's every single day. It's debilitating, right? How often do you think about, your weight when you get into the mirror and the way that you look at yourself? Is it every couple months? Is it every couple weeks? No, it's every single day that I get inside the mirror after I take a shower, right? Like, do you see how you can take something that is a thought or an image that they have in their mind or a moment or a memory, and it changes from something that just happens to something that happens all the time, okay? What is that doing? Expanding the gap, making it more emotionally relevant to them and more important for them to change. All we're looking to do is build change and overall get them to understand that they need to do things differently and that they're unhappy, right? Like most people don't live in pain. They like to avoid pain as much as possible, like it's the plague. You'll see people who gain all this weight and literally don't even think about it. And then all of a sudden, life hits them hard and then they have to change, and they could have changed years ago, but they just pushed it off, right? They just did not want to think about it. They didn't want to look at it. They didn't want to do anything at all. So we're trying to make sure that doesn't happen to them, that they fix their health, they get into the best shape of their lives. They are there for their family for years to come. And so you have to do a really good job during this process. So we're getting daily as a response. Oh, it happens all the time. Then we're going to ask them to expand on that. So, oh man, it happens all the time. Like what happens? Like what happens in those moments? Oh man, like it's, I wake up, I look in the mirror, I just hate the way that I look, blah, 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 blah. And how long has that been going on? Like you hating the way you look in the mirror? Man, last 5 years. 5 years. Now this is an optional one, but 5 years dealing with that problem. How has that been impacting you? If you need to go another level deeper. Typically though, for most women that I work with, some of them will be crying at this point in this conversation because it gets very emotional. And obviously I'm not asking these questions in the way that I would ask them actually. Somewhat, right? You heard some of the tonality and the changes in like facial expression and stuff like that. But the way that I ask questions is very different for women and men. But ultimately you're just looking for an emotional answer. And sometimes I don't even need to ask this question. Sometimes I don't need to ask many of these questions. If I have the answer that I need, then I move on. Now, next piece of evoke is to evoke the future state. So understand where they want to be. So whatever your duration of program is, I always recommend people sell at least 6 months, if not a year. Okay. So if we're able to do this over the next 6 months, fix blah, 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 how would life be different than it is right now? So you're looking for them to envision the future. You're going to ask this question very slowly. That's why there's ... because you want them to really think about this question. Next thing too, get them a little bit deeper, right? How are they feeling in that moment, right? Get them to open up more. We overall just want to have the emotional phase, the part, right? The evoke part, the first piece, get them to be at a low state. This is bringing them back up. And then the cost of an action is to bring them back down again, right before you pitch, okay? Very, very simple. Now, for cost of an action, all we're looking to get from this really is very simply I need to make a change, right? Can't stay the same. So during this question, when you ask it, if you're selling to women like I did, you'll find a lot of people who go, you're asking the question, you're expanding on the problem, and they'll go, oh my gosh, I could never let it get there. Nope, like not going to happen. No, I'm not going to do that. Like, trust me, like I cannot physically let myself get to that point. That, great answer. You're good to move on. Now, if you start the question and they say, oh, I'm never letting it get there, That's a different answer, and you need to handle that differently. So if they say something like, that's not going to happen in that tone, you're going to challenge them, right? And you can do it in this way if they've been, a little bit more defensive the rest of the call, or you can do it this way if they've been nicer throughout the call. If they say that's why I'm here or whatever, you can do it this way too. So these are common reasons people will say after a cost of an action, but ultimately we need them to give us an answer. Okay. A lot of salespeople will get them to be like, if it were to get to that point, what would happen? And they go, oh man, I just don't want it to get to that point. Right? That's the way that I said it was very emotional, and that's okay. You could move on, but you could also ask them, what would happen then though? Like if you actually got to that point, like what would happen? We want an answer for some people. Again, it's all person dependent, but like you want to get as much of a deep reason why they need to change as you possibly can, because that tees up your pitch. So once you get that answer, I typically say, okay, so it's time to like draw a line in the sand. We're not going up to 180. We're not going to 200. Like we're going to commit and really change this then. Oh yeah, I need to change, Ethan. I really need to, right? Like I'm going to, based on how I say this, it can be very playful, right? If someone's like deep emotion, like, oh my gosh, Ethan, I could never let it get to that point. I'm not going to be like, okay, so it's time to make a change then. That's just fucking weird. That's awkward as hell. Like, no, I'm not going to be Mr. Andy Elliott motivational type guy. I'm gonna level with them, and I'm gonna bring their emotion up. I'm gonna bring up like their understanding, and people like women love this, but like you just kind of go, okay, so like we're not gonna let it get there. Like we're not going up to 200. We're not going to 210. Oh no, Ethan, I'm not going there. Okay, so it's time to make a change then. Oh yeah, it's definitely time to make a change, right? You see, like you'll see it in calls that I have, but like that crushes because you're getting emotion out of them in a happy, playful way. You're making them laugh, and they're also committing to change, and they're saying, I need to do something. Perfect way to do it, right? Now, responsibility. This stuff I have here for some clients who've had issues with this, I've never had an issue with responsibility. You literally almost never have to tell them it's their fault or their responsibility. They typically are already accepting at this point. Now, reveal, right? We want certainty in our pitch. This is the only time throughout the entire call that we are going to mention anything, and I mean absolutely anything about what our service is. You are never selling any other part of this script. What I mean by that is like, you're not telling them that you do programming. You're not telling them that your nutrition coaching is so good. You're not telling them that your accountability is awesome. Or when they say in this section here, like let's say they tell you, right? Okay, maybe you need to understand why you might get outside help with this. Oh, I need accountability. Oh, great. You need accountability. We're the best coaches. We do so much You're shooting yourself in the foot. Do not pitch or sell anything of your program until you pitch, till you're done with all of it. Do not mention your program at all. Your program is irrelevant. Literally doesn't matter. I've said this so many times, but like your program is the least relevant thing inside this conversation. The most important conversation that you need to have with them is their problem, that they need help, and that there's a deep reason why they need to change, right? Like there's, psychological issues or psychological reasons why they should change, I should say. But it's the only time you're pitching. And during this section, you're going to have the most certainty, right? You want to be speaking from experience. So if you suck at your pitch and, you're trying to tell them that they need nutrition, workouts, and accountability, I just don't know what to tell you. Like, please don't do that. You need to do something where you're overall showing them that the process is easy. It's something that's getting them results and that they have support. It's all people care about. And I'm going to dive into that in a second here. But ultimately, you just want to make sure that this pitch is very well written out and you have a good process and you've read over it multiple times and you feel very confident throughout it. You're not like reading line by line, like trying to understand everything as you're going through it, because people sniff that out and they won't trust you on calls. So just make sure you have this process down. You speak from an authoritative point of view and you overall know the process the person would need to go through. And there's already going to be a lot of trust in the conversation. Like, you don't need to hard sell them here. I'm just saying they already know that you can help them. Now's your ability to just show them with a little bit more certainty that you know what you're doing. Not tough. But really what I do is focus on long term. Here's what we do. You would actually work with your own coach. We work with women just like you. You're exact type of person we help. You'll work with us one-on-one so we can do blank, 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 but more importantly, maintain it, right? I focus on long-term vision a lot. And then really, I'm just talking about, hey, we provide you with a plan. And the three things that we're looking to do with that plan is make sure it's effective, enjoyable, and then we provide support and accountability so you can be successful. So it's simple stuff, but this is what really works in fitness, because if you try to sell on benefits or your program or your 12-week nutrition and exercise, that stuff just doesn't work nowadays. Because do you know how many 12-week, 6-month, year-long app subscriptions there is with AI automated nutrition and meal plans and AI workouts, and they can just ask ChatGPT for that stuff? People don't care about deliverables. People care that you know what you're doing and that the process is simple enough for them to follow it if they're busy, right? I sold to a very, affluent market. They're busy all the time. They don't want a meal plan. Do they get a meal plan? Fuck yeah, they get a meal plan. Do they want to go to the gym? Not initially. Do they go to the gym? Yeah, because I tell them to, right? Like it's something that comes after the fact. Coaching comes after the fact. It doesn't happen now. So you just need to get buy-in that they need to change and that they need a simple process, not that they need a specific process. And I'm going to harp on this again, okay? There's two things that can happen when you tell somebody your entire program. So I've literally seen people who, like, as soon as the pitch happens, they bring out this slide deck and they show out all the deliverables of their program and they go into the nutrition and they show client examples and they do blah, 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 blah. Option number one is the person is fully on board. They love it, right? And this is exactly what they need. Option number two is a person says they love it, but in actuality, it causes objections because someone's going to see, oh, well, I have to follow a meal plan. Oh, I have to track my calories. Oh, I have to work out 3 times a week at the gym. I can't do any of that. I don't want to. Who the fuck wants to do any of that? So when you tell people about deliverables, it could go one of two ways, and you don't know which direction it's going to go in because you're not in the person's mind. And so you're either going to shoot yourself in the foot or food. You're either going to shoot yourself in the foot, or it's going to be a minor benefit, if any benefit at all, because the person would have bought anyways. Like, really, realistically. You're not, like, for the people who are like bodybuilders or whatever, you're not selling to somebody who wants to become Mr. Olympia. You're not selling to a demographic that, I mean, you could be, but like, people don't care about your, periodization of programming or whatever, like your levels of programming, the way you change it. Oh, we do, weekly changes to your programming. Oh, we do, blocks of 6 weeks. Like, client doesn't care about that. Client cares about getting the result in a very simple and enjoyable way, and they have support along the process. So finishing that up, let's get into exactly what I do. So I do effective. Okay. So what you want to do basically is say, hey, so it's going to be effective. We're going to get you from here to here. We want to get you consistent results, or it's going to feel like a waste of time, just like when you did keto, just like when you did Weight Watchers, just like when you did that, right? That felt like a waste of time because you didn't get results and it wasn't sustainable. Perfect. Cool. What we're going to do is show you how to lose weight so you never feel stuck, confused, or unsure. I typically say, like, we're going to show you what to eat, when to eat it, how to eat it, all the questions that you have in the back of your mind. Same thing for workouts, when to work out, how to work out from home, how to work out from the gym, the sets, the reps, everything, right? So you don't even have to worry about it. We take that stress away. You know exactly what to do day by day to get to your goals. And then overall, with a process that's specifically tailored to you, it's no longer a question of if it's going to work. It's a matter of when is it going to actually happen. And then you can insert your unique selling proposition here. So for me, the plan is designed around your blood work, your biological data, and hormonal testing to make sure that the program is a fit for you during menopause, perimenopause, or whatever phase of life they're currently in, right? So I just tie that in. That's why I throw my unique mechanism in there. Do people even care about that? Hell no. So you can do this. It's optional. That's why I say, like, you can insert why. Second thing, enjoyable, right? It's really obvious for most people, but this is where you get into like sustainability, basically. Second, it needs to be enjoyable. If it's not enjoyable, you're never going to stick to it. What happens if you don't stick to it? Oh, I go back and I gain all the weight. Simple. What do we need to make sure you do? That you love the program. Now, question that I have in here is basically, getting them to kind of agree with everything that I'm saying. Cool. So if you were able to get consistent results, you didn't have to do things you hate, you were able to do things you love. Could you stick to that? Yes. You want easy layup yeses during your pitch so that number one, it keeps people engaged. And number two, that people are getting more buy-in to the program. So they're like agreeing with you both, like if you ask them a question or you see them visually engaged on the call. Final piece, support and accountability. During this section, you can just read it as it is. You know, I would typically make it pretty short and I'd be like, yeah, so you have somebody who can help you, whether it be you're going to the gym, you're going on a trip, you're traveling, you're in a hotel gym, you're eating out. Like we'll give you the exact things you need to eat during those situations, give you a brand new workout plan for if you're at a hotel. Like I do those things and people are like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. Like that's huge for me. I didn't know you could do that. Like those things, like to your offer, if you have a specific like avatar, of course you should have a specific avatar if you're making, you know, 40, 50 plus K a month. Adding some of those like lingo things in there or specific deliverables in that aspect can be very beneficial because it helps people to understand that you know their life and that you can help them during those situations. And that does help, you know, a little bit with buy-in. So that's like the only time deliverables really matter. But is that an everyday deliverable? No. Is that a consistent deliverable? For some people, maybe. But like the answer generally is no. So that's basic section there. What I also like to say too is, you know, we help you to figure out how to be more proactive rather than reactive, helping you to understand what went wrong and what to do next time. That's like a key thing that I say in every single pitch. So like this stuff, like the pitch itself, the accountability section, I really don't read from here at all or like follow a ton of the process, but I do insert my own stuff. And I just, again, the most important thing is sales is to get a process in place, get consistency, and just do that every single time. Literally every single time. Like ask the same question every single time, turn your head in the same way, use the same tonality, make the same facial expression. Like it's actually comical. If you watch my call recordings, they are identical. Like literally identical in terms of every single way that I handle the call because I've done it hundreds of times. And so when you do something hundreds of times, you know the outcome that you get from it. When you know the outcome from it, and you're closing at 60+% and you're making a ton of money, you're going to just want to keep doing that. So don't do shit to change it if you're already making a ton of money. That's why I explained at the beginning, like, hey, if you're already doing like 40% close rate, like, yes, we can make optimizations, probably parts of it that improve it, but don't just like overnight switch and kill your business. Like we want to make sure we're doing things in a beneficial way. Final thing is really just to tie off, right? Future pacing them. And then transact. Okay. So in this section, we're just checking for fear, right? Do you feel like this could be the answer for you? I always say could because I want them to really react a little bit better. If I say, is this the answer for you? You could get yes, you could get no, right? Like people could feel like they're forced into saying yes. I want them to genuinely say yes. So I say like, do you feel like this could be, you know, the answer for you? Oh yeah, I feel like it could be. Okay. Why do you feel like it could though? Right? We want to ask with skepticism. We ask them why. What does that do? It causes them to justify the reason to us. Now, in this section here, if there's any doubt or uncertainty, you can always ask, like, is it fair to say there might be some hesitancy, right? I've also seen recently, which I actually really liked, something along the lines of just push through it. If anybody reacts yes, like, yeah, I think it could. Okay, why do you feel like it could? Like, what do you like about it? Right? Like, just push through. So just, again, a little bit of variability there in terms of reading out your prospect and what you need to do. But ultimately, just make sure they're bought in and then ask them if XYZ was in place, whatever they need, would that put you in the best possible position to be successful? A lot of times they're going to say yes. Get a verbal yes to this. And then you price drop. Super simple. So I typically do this setup, right? Hey, we've covered the basis. Next step, investment. Next step, systems. Next step, book you for your onboarding call with your coach. Going over all that, cool with you. Done. Now, with the price drop itself, process-wise, right? This is what I had to talk about with process. This is why I mentioned it just above. I do like a quote-unquote promotion, technically, of like, hey, I'm taking $2,000 off. The only reason why I have this in here is because I've done it on every single call and people close. Do I think necessarily that because I'm saying I'm taking $2,000 off in this moment, it makes more people buy? No. Does it make less people buy? No. So it's a variable that I could change technically, But since it has worked for so long, I just leave it because I feel like ultimately it's not going to push anybody over the line, right? It's not going to be like, oh, well, Ethan said it's $2,000 off today, so I need to do it right now. I really don't think that's happening. But I also don't think it's happening in a negative way either. So if you've never done something like this before, you could test it, see if it makes any noticeable difference. But honestly, I don't think it does. If I said the same thing of like, yeah, so it's 6 months, it's 4,800, I think it would work the same exact way. So there's no real internal difference to it. And you got to be careful about this because when people typically give action taker discounts, they try and abuse it and they try to pressure prospects into being like, oh, well, it's $2,000 off today. And, you know, if you don't sign up right now, you're going to have to pay more later if you want to think about it. I think that's so fucking stupid because you will get read like a fucking book. Anybody, trust me, anybody knows that if you say it's $2,000 off today and tomorrow they came here and they were saying, hey, here's $5,000, you would take it. So unless you truthfully would not take their money, do not say that shit. Like at all. You will burn so many leads because people will be like, this guy's trying to pressure me. He's trying to use sales tactics. He's trying to get me to buy right now. I don't want to be associated with this guy. It's like the used cars salesman thing. Oh, this deal's only active for today and tomorrow it's going to go away. So you better buy it right now. If you don't buy it right now, then you can't get it, right? But I guarantee if you went to the car dealership tomorrow, 99% of the time and said, here's all the money. Here's $100,000 cash. Can I buy it right now? They'd say yes. So it's a bad sales tactic. Do not use the, price anchor or discount in that way. Again, this is why I say I don't use it in that way so it doesn't negatively affect me. But it is something, that's just there. All right, whatever. Going on to the next thing. Now, the most important thing is you tie these two things together, okay? In fitness or in high ticket sales, there is a lot of people who like to just do the, cool, so it's $5,000. How do you want to proceed from here? Silence, and the prospect is silent. In fitness, that just does not work at all. People are super fucking fearful. They hate that way of selling, and they hate feeling pressured, okay? So what I typically do is I say, if you were to get started today, it would just be 4,800. Now, we do have a ton of different ways to break everything up, but some people do prefer to pay it up front if they can, as they fully want to commit to themselves. Do you have any questions around how that works, right? Do you see how I say that and it's super nonchalant? Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is say, hey, it's $5,000 for 6 months, but you can break it up. But some people do prefer to pay it up front if they can. Do you have any questions about how that works? Why I say it in that way is anybody who can pay it $5K up front is like, cool, I can do it up front. That's going to be their answer when I ask them, do you have any questions about how this works? Anybody who needs to break it up, they'll say, cool, I need to break it up. Or if somebody's worried about the money, they may say, yeah, I might want to look at, some options to break it up. It's kind of a lot, right? Whatever their answer is, what does it funnel them into? Logistical money. That is the only objection I pretty much ever get on fitness sales calls. I never hardly get any sort of objection except for logistical money or like a logistical partner objection where somebody's like, hey, I have a rule in my marriage. If I spend $5,000 without him knowing, there's going to be problems. We set this up prior. And I like fact check that a couple times and I listen to their voice and what they're saying. Sure, I can believe them, right? But by doing it this way, right? This is why fitness sales specific coaching is very important because a lot of people do it incorrectly. By setting it up that you're funneling into logistical money right away, you're going to close way more deals. Fitness people are super skeptical. They're fearful. They've been burned in the past. They've done other programs. So when you can articulate it in a way of like, hey, there's ways to break it up, it makes it very easy for you. Okay. Now, if you say, do you have any questions about how that works? And they say, nope, no questions. Okay, cool. Would it be better for you to do it up front or would you feel like you need to break it up a little bit? You just ask. Now, I could get grilled by some sales trainer who's like, oh, dude, you got to maximize PIFs and only give them the PIF option and don't give them payment plans and don't give them other options. Sure, I can see the benefit to that. But as somebody who's ran my own offer, the logistic thing that I would typically do is push them to financing anyways. And a lot of the time, you just collect the same amount of cash anyways. Like, sure, you get hit with a 6%, financing fee. But ultimately, I'd rather have a 6% processing fee and a 30 to 40 minute call maybe even less, and the person's done, deal closed, and I can move on to my next call, versus me handling fear objections for an hour and a half, trying to get them to put $5,000 on a card right now, as opposed to just giving them an option to break it up and pay it. Because, dude, like, people who are, rich, they don't want to deal with all this bullshit. Like, if somebody says to me, like, yeah, I can do it in 2 payments, 2 payments, 2,400 work. What are you going to do? Fucking take their money? Yeah, of course I'm going to do that. Like, am I going to be like, no, you have enough money, you should pay it all right now because you need to be committed? No. Like, I think there's a lot of misconceptions in the online space about like commitment based on like how much they pay. Now, do I agree that can be a higher level of commitment? Will people take it more seriously? Sure. But in fitness specifically, I don't think that matters. I will have people who literally need to finance at the lowest possible rate, and it is all of their money, and it is the most important thing for them to fix this problem. It is literally like going to drain their bank account to do it, and they will still do it, and they should be the most committed, and those people are the worst clients. Literally, like the worst. And it's like the most amount of money to them, and is the most important thing, and they do not follow through with it. And then I'll have very rich clients who do the same shit. They'll pay $5K up front, not follow through with it. Or I'll have clients who are in between, right? They're very rich. They do it in 2 payments, best clients ever. I'll have clients who do in 3 payments, best clients ever. I'll have people who use a firm 0% financing, best clients ever, right? So I don't necessarily believe in fitness specifically, the amount of money they put down right now necessarily is equivalent to their commitment. Now, if someone wants to do a monthly payment plan, in-house financing, not a firm Klarna, okay, we might have some problems. I may push them a little bit to do more down and like just do it in a smaller time frame, because that is the only time that I'll ever be like, I don't really feel like this person's very committed. If they're trying to do month to month, and I've talked to them throughout the call, and I can understand they're in a fluid demographic and they're the right type of person who could pay it in full and they want to do it monthly. Sure, you might just want to collect the cash, but I would say in those situations, it's a lot more personal to be like, push them a little bit, right? But again, in most situations, if someone tells you, hey, I'm going to hand you $2,500 right now, and within the next 30 days, another $2,500, can I do that? Just say yes and just collect the money. It's fitness. It's not high ticket, business coaching where, people don't pay all the time. Like, it's just a different offer. But anyways, to get back to the meat and potatoes here. Overall, it's a logistical money objection. You say, cool, we can really tailor it to the person. Again, always be as calm and collected as possible throughout this process. In terms of breaking up the investment, besides finding the best option, do you feel like we can help you to do this? Yes. Why do you feel like we can? Cool. So it's more of a question of how we can make it work as opposed to if you wanted to do the program. Yes. Just how to make it work logistically. If they say anything else, it's a different objection. But typically, I'd be like, cool. Yeah, don't want money to be the reason why you can't get started. We partner with a group that allows you to pay it monthly. Some of our clients only pay a couple $100 a month. Would you prefer that? Yes. I go to my payment link sheet. I send them the payment link. They go to the payment link. They, go to it. Walk them through a firm or Klarna. Very, very simple. It takes sometimes 5-10 minutes for them to go through the whole application. I got to get my bank card. I got to scan my ID, whatever you need. And then ultimately, once they've paid, send them the agreement. And then typically with the agreement section, I do this. Cool. Main 3 things: liability waiver at the front of my agreement. Number 2, making a commitment. Number 3, go down the bottom and complete the checklist, basically. You can also add this one at the end. This one does help a little bit with refunds and people who like want to commit and then back out right away. That one's pretty good. I do like this as like an adding one. But once you're done with that, pretty simple. You just get them on board with a coach and you're good to go. Now, if somebody says like different options, right? If someone's like, would it be better to do it up front, or do you feel like you need to break it up a bit? If someone's an affluent demographic, I'll have a video on this too. I'm just going pretty in depth in this video here. If someone's more affluent and they say, yeah, I can do it in 2 to 3 payments, cool, just do that, right? If you want to add extra tax onto that, you definitely can. And then drop selling, I'm going to have a full video on this as well in terms of when to drop sell. Typically for me, again, since my only objection would ever be logistical money, the only reason why you're going to drop sell is if they cannot afford the minimum monthly payment on a firm or Klarna. That's it, right? Because you're already drop selling, right? They already can't afford the monthly payment of $800 a month or whatever your program is. So trying to put them on in-house financing will not work. Your only option is to go to financing. And if their credit score is bad or they can't get approved, so you go through 4800 link, they don't get approved, cool. All right, well, that didn't work. Let's look at 5 months, 4,000, 5 months, or you go to 4 months, 3,200. Cool. Let's look at 4 months. 3,200 didn't get approved. Okay, now let's go to 3 months, 2,400. That's kind of my lowest point you could ever do. I do 3 months, 2,400. They do affirm. It's like $83 a month, and they're good to go. $183 a month, whatever, and they're good to go, right? But that's literally like last resort, and that's the only way that I drop sell. Is I basically just go option 1, 4,800 6 months. Option number 2, if they barely didn't get approved or it wants them to put like 1,000 down, maybe I'll go to 3,200 for 4 months and just get them approved right now. Or if it literally was like, oh, not approved at all, then I'll probably go 3 months, 2,400. And I may ask them their credit score too, so I can get a gauge on things and just understand like, oh, do you have any outstanding debt, any things that are going on? And just overall, really in this process, especially when it's logistical money only, right? If the person's like, yeah, I want to do it, it's literally just a way to break it up. I am trying to get as quick as possible throughout this process to check out. So I don't want to send them 6 different links and have them try 48, 46, 44, 4, 38, 36, 32. You're going to waste so much time, and the desirability to join the program is just going to continue to drop, and it drops pretty quick. So I'd say max you want to send them is 3 links. So you can have them go 4,800. Well, for me, I'm just talking from my offer, from my experience, but it's like 4,800 Affirm doesn't work. 4,800 Klarna doesn't work. I'm going to ask credit score. I'm going to ask if they have any outstanding debt. Oh, I have a 630 credit score and I have some debt. Cool. No problem. Let's try 32 for 4. Try 32 for 4. Doesn't get approved. I'm going straight to, 24. I'm not trying any other options. I'm going straight to it because I want them to be checked out. I want to make the sale and I want to fulfill on the client, right? So I'm talking sales. I'm not talking like fulfillment or anything like that. But yeah, so pretty in-depth training here, going over the entire script, the entire process, what I do on every single call, and revealing a little bit more of the in-depth information into my offer in the exact way that I close these prospects. Now, if you are somebody who overall is in a position where you are closing at only 20 to 30%, you're taking a lot of calls, 10, 20 calls a week, you're making maybe 30, 50, maybe even 100K a month, and the main bottleneck that you have is your sales team, or you're closing all the calls and you need to get better at sales, feel free to click the link below, join into the Skool group, and I'll have a bunch more value and training in there so that you can overall fix your close rate, make more sales, double or even triple your business. Go ahead, check it out at the link below.